Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WNR Body Transformation Podcast, or in case if you're watching this video on YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel. But before we get cracking and before I take a deep dive into what I'm going to be covering today, I highly urge that you watch this video. Please don't listen to this podcast. It's going to make a lot of sense to you if you watch this video. And before we just get started, I try to produce as much free value as possible. Because it just simply helps me reach out to more people, and I'm just simply trying to monetize my passion by delivering genuine value to people, basically. So all I ask for you guys is to like, share, subscribe, follow me in case if you're listening to this on YouTube or on my podcast. Like, just do the needful, all right? Like, this is going to help you tremendously. So yeah, let's get cracking. In today's podcast, I'm going to be covering the topic of my own experience with injectable L-carnitine, okay? So first of all, what is L-carnitine basically? What does it exactly do? Let me start off with what is L-carnitine. L-carnitine is just an amino acid, or it's like a bit of a nutrient basically, which your body produces, which you also get from food. It's more of like creatine, right? Now creatine has got tons of health benefits, but it also facilitates several bodily functions. Right, so similarly, L-carnitine is involved in several bodily functions. Basically, your body produces it in a really small amount, and you can also supplement it from outside and external sources. Now, the second question being is, what does it exactly do? Well, it helps in cognitive health. So, by cognitive health, I mean like it improves brain function, improves memory, like your learning capacity, and all of that, basically. Right, it facilitates the transport of the free fatty acids to the cell, to like inside the cell membrane to the mitochondria, basically. Right now, I know you might probably be confused with all these big words that I'm using, but trust me, I got confused as well. But it's gonna make more sense to you as and when I take a deep dive inside this and break down these complex terms into simpler bite-sized chunks that you can understand. So there are cells all over your body, all right? And the mitochondria, which is inside the cell, is the energy house of the cell, basically. You obviously heard about this in case if you've not been bunking your biology classes, right? So what L-carnitine actually does is it simply facilitates, it doesn't really directly do this, but it facilitates the transport of the free fatty acids, inside the cell membrane to the mitochondria, so that the mitochondria can use that and liberate energy, basically. So it basically increases it increases like fatty acids to be used for energy, basically. So if you get like more fatty acid oxidation, you get like more use of those free fatty acids, you simply get leaner faster. But now, before you jump on the bandwagon thinking like, okay, should I use L-carnitine, basically? It doesn't really cause that much of an impact unless and until your diet is not in check, unless and until your training is not in check, your sleep is not in check, your movement is not in step, basically. It provides you like 3 to 4% of a benefit. So yeah, that's exactly what it does in the context of which we're going to be speaking today, because my YouTube channel or my podcast is mainly associated with body transformations, basically, where people want to drop body fat and build muscle. That basically is it. So now, what forms does it come in? If you go to the pharmacy downstairs, right, it's going to be coming in the form of an oral, so it comes in the form of a pill. It also comes in the form of injectable, as you can probably see this ampule that I got from an underground laboratory, or it also comes in the form of an IV drip. So like you inject it via this nerve right here, and it happens slowly and steadily, basically, right? These are the various forms. And now lately they've also been trying sublingual, basically, where you take a tablet and you put it under your tongue, and there's like a bit of a thin membrane under your tongue that causes the contents of the supplement that you're taking to be absorbed by the sublingual mucosa membrane under your tongue, so that if compared to orally, if you probably take it in the form of a sublingual, basically it directly bypasses the liver metabolism so that it just goes to your bloodstream directly, right? If I were you, I'm probably gonna say injectable L-carnitine or in the form of an IV drip is probably gonna be king. Why? Because the bioavailability, by bioavailability I mean how much of it is available in your body for you to reap out the benefits, is really, really poor if you take it orally in the form of a pill, right? Not sublingually. If you just take a pill and swallow it and it goes down your digestive tract. Why? Because only 10% of the contents of that pill is going to be absorbed. So let's probably say, in order for you to see the benefits of L-carnitine, you need approximately like 200 milligrams per 50 pounds of body weight, right? I have not come up with this formula, right? It's Chase Irons. Look at his YouTube channel, basically, who's come up with this formula, right? So let's probably say I am 132 pounds. I'll probably take something like 350 milligrams per day, basically, right? Injectable. Now, the benefit of injectable or in the form of an IV drip is it directly bypasses your digestive system and straight up goes inside your bloodstream, and you got 100% for use. Whereas in the form of an oral, you got only 10%. Now, you might be probably thinking, you know, what if I take more orally? Cool, you can probably do that. But if, let's say, if you're supposed to take like 350 milligrams per day to get the benefits of it, injectable, orally, you might want to take something like 3,500 milligrams, which is an absolute pain in the ass because there are a couple of side effects which are going to be associated with this, basically, right? Or like high dose oral L-carnitine, even though 10% is going to be absorbed, but it's going to be promoting TMAO buildup in your gut. It's going to alter or interact with the gut bacteria in a way that the TMAO buildup is probably going to be there, right? Although this has not been heavily studied, now excessive TMAO might be linked to cardiovascular diseases. You know, it might increase your risk for atherosclerosis. I don't really know how to pronounce it properly, but this is associated with plaque buildup basically between your arteries, thereby causing like more cholesterol issues, like more blood pressure issues, more heart issues. So yeah, now you might be asking, how do I avoid that? Some people have tried supplementing with garlic, right? So let's probably say if you're supposed to take 3,500 milligrams of L-carnitine, now you're supposed to take 3,500 milligrams of oral L-carnitine to get 10% absorbed inside your bloodstream, which is 350 milligrams, right? Your body can maximum absorb something like 3 grams of L-carnitine at a time. So you're better off splitting that 3,500 milligrams into like 2 doses, like 1,750 milligrams one meal, 1,750 milligrams for another meal, and you might want to go and have like 3 cloves of garlic per meal, basically. Now that's another pain in the ass because to reap the benefits of L-carnitine, it leads to a new can of worms being opened, which is TMAO buildup, which might lead to excessive atherosclerosis, which needs to be offset with garlic intake, which is a massive pain in the ass. So if you just simply take it in the form of an injectable one, it's going to be so much more better. You save so much more money. The only thing is you just need to inject it, which is a bit of a pain in the ass because the injections of L-carnitine are quite painful, right? That's the only drawback of it, right? Now, if you're someone with thyroid issues, if you got hypothyroidism, which is your inability or a reduced ability of your thyroid membrane to produce that much thyroid, and if you take L-carnitine, right, what probably L-carnitine is going to do is it's going to simply make you feel better. This was obviously studied in rodents and rats, not in human beings, right? Because thyroid's function is involved, like the hormone of thyroid is involved in several functions. It's involved in supporting your metabolism, but in the context of the topic that I'm covering, it's involved in supporting your metabolism. So people with like low thyroid levels like tend to put on weight easily because obviously they abuse their fucking bodies, as a result of which they gain so much weight, thyroid hormone goes down, and you know, so yeah. So That's studied in rodents. I'm not aware about human beings from the research that I've done. But this idea, and this was not brought to me by my research. I was listening to Dr. Scott Stevenson, who's a bodybuilder and a phenomenal researcher as well. And he's got like 7 studies published. Amazing guy, right? I was listening to his podcast. Then I dug into my research. I took some notes. People with hypothyroidism, which is an impaired ability to produce thyroid, right? If they took the replacement dose exogenously, right, now they got more thyroid, but they got less L-carnitine, as a result of which, they might still experience some symptoms of like low thyroid, which is like physical fatigue, mental fatigue. When they were given L-carnitine supplementarily, like they experienced no fatigue, or not no fatigue, I might be wrong right here, but they experienced a significant reduction in fatigue by approximately like 50 to 75%. Sorry about that, like my alarm just went off. Yeah, but they experienced that basically. So that shows the cognitive benefits of L-carnitine as well. Now people, this is where the sneaky devil lies, right? And this was brought to notice by Dr. Scott Stevenson in the fitness community. If you are hypothyroid, like you face the conditions of hypothyroidism, which is like you produce too much thyroid, right? Your heart rate is going to be elevated. You find it really hard for you to put on muscle, because excessive thyroid does burn through muscle as well. And if you take L-carnitine in high doses, what it actually does is it basically reduces like thyroid's interaction, right? It basically blocks the efforts of thyroid. It basically stops the thyroid hormone from entering your cell membrane, as a result of which you can't see the beneficial effects of thyroid, as a result of which your metabolism might be slightly slower, but you probably get the beneficial effects of L-carnitine. So it's probably going to be useful for those people who, like, in high doses, not in moderate doses for L-carnitine, where if you produce way too much thyroid, a high dose of L-carnitine can help you offset that basically, right? So you don't want to like abuse it, because there are like little to no side effects associated with L-carnitine from what I researched so far, right? It might just slightly cause some irritation in the gut for some people who've got poor eating habits. It might also cause slight insomnia for some people, slightly if you like really abuse it. But that basically is it. In moderate doses, it's a fucking amazing supplement. Yes, I'm going to use the word supplement, right? Now, what are the benefits of L-carnitine? Well, it facilitates fat oxidation basically. It also, how do I say this, increases cognitive benefits, reduces physical fatigue, improves recovery. So many benefits basically. The only side effects, as I mentioned, if you like really abuse it and take it in like super normal doses, which is like 3 to 4 grams a day, anything about like 2 grams per day, 2000 milligrams per day, that's when you begin to see the side effects. So anything between like 300 to 500 milligrams a day is a really good dose where you're not going to see any side effects. So yeah, now this is what I have done basically, because I like to do a lot of research, and I'm not really a enhanced bodybuilder. I'm more of like a natural bodybuilder. Natural bodybuilding sucks because people often ask you like, hey, you don't look like a bodybuilder. Because 99.99% of the people out there who look like really big bodybuilders, they're on steroids basically. But I'm more of like a natural bodybuilder, and I go into a little bit of biohacking, and I cringe at the word biohacking, but like health optimization tools and hacks, right? Now, a lot of bodybuilders, enhanced bodybuilders who are taking steroids, who are taking androgens basically, they do a lot of unhealthy practices, because of which they tend to incorporate these health optimization tools and hacks within their routine, as a result of which there's a significant tire wash. So I like to research about this basically. So what I've done is I've taken low dose Cialis. Now Cialis is like a bit of a remedy given to those people who've got erectile dysfunction, as the popular stereotype goes, right? Like the high dose Cialis range is like 20 milligrams, but at like low dose, at like something like 2.5 to 5 milligrams per day, it improves prostate health. As a result of which your sleep improves. You probably don't wake up in the middle of the night to pee, or if you're waking up like 3-4 times, it reduces if you have got your sleep hygiene in check. It improves fat metabolism, it improves muscle mass, it reduces estrogen slightly, increases testosterone slightly, right? And its major benefit is it's a vasodilator basically. It improves blood flow all over your body, not only to your dick basically, right? So what I've done is I've taken injectable L-carnitine along with low dose Cialis, along with caffeine, right? And I take this 30 to 45 minutes before I do my cardio. Now, caffeine has shown, like black coffee basically, or pre-workouts. I don't like taking pre-workouts because it messes with my sleep. But caffeine acts as a fat mobilizer, right? It also acts as a fat oxidizer basically. What is the difference between fat mobilization and oxidization, right? This is obviously too simplistic, but for the benefits of the listeners out there, fat mobilization means simply taking those free fatty acids and breaking it down and releasing it inside the bloodstream basically so that they can move. Mobilization basically, right? This is just in simplistic terms. Excuse me if I've given an awful metaphor. And oxidization means, right, you increase your body temperature, you directly cause those fat cells which are mobilized inside the bloodstream to go inside the mitochondria so that they can be oxidized and liberated to give you energy basically, so that there's going to be more fat loss, right? So caffeine has been shown to be a free fatty acid mobilizer and an oxidizer. When you combine it with like low dose Cialis, your blood vessels are opening. Now there's more blood flow, and there's going to be a better environment for you to facilitate the mobilization of free fatty acids. And if you combine it with like L-carnitine is not directly a free fatty acid oxidizer, but it facilitates the conditions. Like if your muscle cells are saturated with L-carnitine, right, the ability, like there's just going to be increased delivery of the free fatty acids to the mitochondria of the cell, as a result of which you're probably going to see increased fat loss. So there's going to be like a synergistic effect as well. And it makes more sense for you to do this when you're doing some form of fasted cardio, or you're about to just have a workout, so that you're releasing all the fuel so that you can use it basically. For like bodybuilders, makes more sense for them to take a little bit of growth hormone. And if they're taking like people don't try this at home. This is just like me giving my thoughts and takes. And if you're trying things like clenbuterol, which is given to asthma patients, or like Yohim. Yeah, sorry about that. My camera battery died, and I just spent some time recharging my camera, and I was like, you know what? Meanwhile, while it recharges, let me just go and pull in a meal. So I'm quite bloated at the moment because I ate like 2 mangoes, some Greek yogurt. But anyways, let's get cracking. So L-carnitine does have like a bit of a synergistic effect, and in my opinion, like makes more sense to use if you're going to be taking like more fat loss drugs and compounds like yohimbine, right, or like clenbuterol, or like growth hormone. It makes more sense for you to go and like use L-carnitine fasted before cardio session. If you're going to be using it like for cognitive benefits, having some form of energy, etc., makes more sense for you to use it in the form of a pre-workout, so the injectable form. So yeah, and my own experience with it, what do? Obviously I'm a natural bodybuilder basically, so I like to use it like fasted when I do my cardio, something like 3 times per week. And I take it with like black coffee and Cialis, tadalafil, basically low dose 5 milligrams, have my electrolytes, my creatine, and straight up go and do my 30 to 40 minutes fasted cardio basically. And I've seen like decent amount of benefits at it, because I've been probably staying at like my weight loss has been slow, but I've been getting like far more leaner and leaner as the moment the process proceeds. Like, yeah, that basically is it. Now the next topic, where should you inject it? How should you inject it? Now there are like different types of injection sites, right? But I'm going to be covering them in two main categories: intramuscular, which is within the muscles, and subcutaneous, which is not within the muscles, but injected in the subcutaneous layer of fat, basically. So this, as you can probably see, is me taking the L-carnitine out of the ampule, right? And I've stored it in a normal syringe, basically. Now, normal syringes have like pretty thick needles, right? And they got pretty long needles. So it makes more sense for you to go and inject it intramuscularly within the muscle cells. Research shows like intramuscular absorption of L-carnitine is slightly faster compared to subcutaneous, which is like injected within your subcutaneous layer of fat on your belly, basically. So you can inject it somewhere right here, you know, this shoulder like muscle, like somewhere in the middle, till it goes 70% or 80% of the needle probably goes inside. You can probably inject it in your quadriceps, you can inject it in your biceps, you can inject it in your lat right here. Where there's a muscle, basically, you can inject it over there. You can also inject it in your chest. Although I don't really know much about that. I've tried injecting in my quadriceps and I've tried injecting it in my shoulders, basically. Both the sites are painful, but the quadricep one has actually been a bit more painful, but that's a part of the process. Now, if you don't want that much pain, then it makes more sense for you to take an insulin syringe. Now, obviously, this is beyond the scope of this video, but if you take the contents, I'm not going to be showing you which company is it. If you're going to be taking the contents of the ampule out, it's only going to be possible with a normal syringe, right? And then through a method known as backloading an insulin syringe, you can probably YouTube this. You can divide your dosages into like insulin syringes, and then you can grab like a bit of a chunk of fat, 1 or 2 inches on either side of your navel, and you can inject your insulin syringe. Now the thing about an insulin syringe, it's really thin, it's really fine, and it just goes in really smoothly. So yeah, you can use an insulin syringe for intramuscular injections, or you can also use it for subcutaneous injections. So yeah, like, but I'd like to use the insulin syringe for more subcutaneous injections, basically. Is it worth it? As always, I'm gonna say, have you nailed the big rocks? Is your diet on point? Is your movement on point? Is your sleep on point? Is your nutrition on point, basically? Are you having the right macros, basically? Are you like, you consistently dropping body fat? And last thing, when would you incorporate stuff like L-carnitine, basically? It makes more sense for you to incorporate it once when you add such a low body fat percentage that extra 1 or 2% is going to make a huge difference. So when you get down to something like 8 to 10% body fat, like sheer work ethic, makes more sense for you to incorporate this. But for the listeners out there, if you're thinking of for fat loss purposes, I'd probably say don't invest your money right now. It's a supplement that's actually quite worth it, but if you're not nail the basics, doesn't make sense for you to invest in it right now. If you're taking it for cognitive health related purposes, yeah, it's worth it. So yeah, people, if you found this useful, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and follow me for more tips, guidelines, and have a nice day.